I think we're
And
live.
we are live for
Hi,
season
everybody.
4, episode 5 of the Musty Wargamers. Hello.
Howdy ho.
Today, in addition to myself and Rusty, as usual, we have Bill Bushong from Landsknecht. Is that right? Landsknecht?
Landsknecht 1525.
See, that's the first time I ever got it right, I think. All right. Let's see here. I can pause my regular YouTube that started. So, let's see. Don't think we have anybody quite yet in the house yet for the comments, or at least they haven't crossed over, except for
Don't
Rusty.
cross the streams.
That's right. All right. So, how's it going, Bill? What have you been up to?
I got to play N4 Infinity
Yes.
over the last weekend. That was kind of fun. I've been the last few weeks I've been kind of doing a different kind of tabletop gaming. I've been DMing a Pathfinder game, so it's a little bit easier to do with the social distancing to do the screens like this. And it's a lot of fun too. You know, I haven't DM'd in a couple of years, so there it is.
Neat. Have you been doing much any time at the table, like painting, or just mostly gaming at the moment?
It's mostly gaming. Yeah. It's hard to with us both at home. It's hard to get some Zen time to paint.
Looks like we have Mr. B&B Builder from the Outback with us, from the land down under. We've got a neighbor of mine over in British Columbia, Walkabout Games, or Chris, who's joined us. Hello, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us today.
Dude.
And he has a very Canadian welcome there.
Hey.
How's it going, eh?
All I hear is coo, 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 coo. Hey, take off, eh?
So we got a little bit of a sneak peek at your musty drink tonight for the show tonight. Bill, you care to share?
I'm doing rum.
Very good.
I drink this Pepsi and make a rum and coke.
So which class are you going to choose to go in? Are you going to go for the all out, or are you going to go for the more typical? There you go.
The Death
Star. There you go.
Yeah. Feel the hate is to destroy the galaxy.
So with that, looks like we've got Scott, I believe, Knight's Pantry in the house.
Hey, Scott.
Hello there, Scott. So, Rusty, on that note, with your, I think that was a mixture of the Emperor and like Yoda and Darth Vader all at once. Rusty, what have you been up to this week?
Fine, I'm out of here.
Forget it then.
I can't take this heat anymore. I'll force choke you through the screen.
What have you been up to?
Well, let's see. Was it last week we played a game of Flames of War? And let's see. That was an interesting game. We had a 100-point game. Played that. And it was give and take. Both sides were like, we're losing. And then we both look at each on the other side. How can you be losing if we're losing? It's one of those games where both sides thought they were losing the game until one side actually lost the game.
Nobody felt good about it.
No.
It's kind of realistic, right? I mean,
yeah.
When you got bullets whizzing by your head, nobody usually feels pretty good.
It was hanging in the balance the entire time. It was like we had the game, the board was on a giant balance, and the game was in a balance. And then let's see, this weekend we played Gaslands.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It sounds like everybody decided to, since I came in, well, the results will be out on Monday. So if you want to watch on Monday, you'll see how they decided that this end of the season was last Saturday. So.
All right.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I noticed that you've been doing the tally, of
Yeah.
each after each game, which is cool.
Yeah, it was like when somebody starts running away from it and their cars start getting better and better, everybody's like, we're going to have to kill you. It's like everybody's trying. It's like it was a death race. Everybody's like out to get a certain individual. I don't know who.
So what is your musty drink tonight?
All the way from Ireland. Got
there
some
you go.
Bushmills tonight.
That looks like a fresh bottle.
Oh boy.
You're just getting prepared just in case we have a show like last time.
I'm having one drink tonight.
That show that we had last time, I told Rusty the next day, like, we have to have a 2-drink maximum on this show because, for me at least, because I think that was like the longest show we've ever had, and because of it, it just kept going and going, and like the socialization and the pouring just kept going.
Well, just because it says you have to drink when we say BattleTech, doesn't mean you have to slam it down like a shot. Okay. Yeah.
So what did you have anything? Did you pull anything out to show tonight that you were doing?
I will in a second here.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm reaching for right now. I just have to move the booze out of the way.
I'm just blowing you up your screen there.
All right.
All right. Da, da, da.
Oh yeah.
There we go. BattleTech.
I really like that paint scheme. I was telling you, I think I might have put on your video or I texted you. I'm not sure, but I that is my sort of chosen faction when I started collecting. But I also just I like that paint scheme.
This is the one that everybody likes the most.
You had that one right up front, and it's true. It looks really good. It's cool looking.
Yeah.
Did a great job.
Yeah, that was one of the best ones. This is the one that these guys here, I finished those up. This is House Line, the House Steiner guys here.
Yep.
Leary and Guard. I think they were in the video today I put out.
Yeah. They remind me of the way some of the Ultramarines are. Like there's certain divisions that have the straight up and down. Unless I'm getting that wrong, it's a different chapter.
One of the success, what the heck they call it? They have the initial foundry, which, and you have the different ones that come afterwards, because you have the Ultramarines and then their succession state or factions that come after it.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I think, does look like that. This is one of the guys I kind of like too. That's Pillager.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah. That yellow and green, it really stands out on it, and then on that sort of whitish background, it kind of really looks good.
Yeah, it's a light gray, so you have all the details will show up pretty good. So I did all the grays first, and then I went in and picked out all the other colors.
Looks like Chris says I have to finish cleaning my mechs, and BNB says I only want to see a Mad Cat or a Vulture. I'm sure that you could probably grab a handful in a moment's notice.
Well, yeah, I'd have to get up. They're on the other side of the wall right here. Right
I think you probably have like easily 600 mechs, I would say.
Me?
Yeah.
400.
400?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's close. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not close, but it's still a lot.
Yeah. And that's only, I don't have any modern mechs. When you look at the eras of the mechs, I have Star League, I have Succession Wars, I have the first Clan Wars, and then it goes to 30, 55, 58.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything that's 30, 60 or old, newer. So
okay.
I'm a whole bunch of TROs behind. I never had any desire to pick any more up because I always picked them up. It's like, if our campaign kept going on, then I start picking up mechs for continuing the campaign because something new might pop up. But
and your latest ones that you just did though were kind of new for you because they were like House Lao specific ones, right? And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was the commission. I'll be playing with them, but they're commission work for my brother.
Yeah.
So they'll be used. They're supposed to be used this weekend. We got a BattleTech game coming up this weekend.
Oh, you're going to do one this weekend?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You've been getting a lot of gaming in.
Yeah.
You and Bill both.
Well, we're lucky enough that our section of the world hasn't shut down.
Okay. Oh, that's weird.
I hear gurgling.
I hear this. I've got this like shaker. This is a blended Scotch whiskey, but I might as well go into mine here. Do you have any other updates there, Rusty? I don't want to cut you off. Well, I've got this. Let's see here. I put this one on the channel too. It's let's see if I can. Buchanan's
Okay.
blended Scotch whiskey, but it's got this weird cap. So when I try to get myself a nice chug-a-lug into there, so I can kind of get this half full.
Do they have that plastic insert?
Yeah, that's this thing, and none of my other scotches have this. It's like almost trying to hold me back. Maybe I need to bring this one more to the show because after the last show,
all you gotta do is reach in with a knife and pop that sucker out.
You're like, get that out of there, a screwdriver. Well, I did the since the last show, I think I did the test game of the Sharps practice, so that was a lot of fun. And so that was more just on my own solo game. I have been since quarantine playing a little bit of Infinity and Twilight with my daughters, different daughters actually for each one of those, but I'm probably going to be doing some more gaming at home. Right now, I'm not doing much gaming because the kids are homeschooled. I'm not kind of going out and doing stuff socially since they're kind of isolated, like with their stuff, doing the homeschooling, but hopefully that'll change soon. But as far as the painting update, like I did put a quick video up today, but my basically what I've been working on is this. I'll have to, let me just do the focus job here on the manual camera.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've got some for the Musty Wargamers challenge. I've got some Chaos Hounds that I'm doing, and I decided I still have some work to do on them, definitely on the bases too. But I decided to go rather than beastie brown like a lot of my beast men. I decided to go kind of real evil and kind of get them kind of hellhound looking is what I wanted to go for. And so these aren't the oldest. I realize it's an old hammer challenge. These aren't probably really old hammer, but they're still metal ones that they're probably circa 2000, I'm guessing, in that area, like the 2000s. And so, yeah, pretty happy with how they're going. I'm getting a bit excited about using them. Now I can unleash the hounds, like, you know, the evil devil dogs. And I primed up my, nothing to really show, but I primed up my two giants I'm going to be doing after that. My, it's not a Balrog, it's the name's, the Shaggoth. The name's escaping me. The Shaggoth, and then I have the old Chaos Orcs and Goblins metal giant next to him, the hulking guy. And I have a little bit of Captain Marvel there that I'll be then finishing off when I'm done with this stuff. I've just got the base paint on, and I'll be doing the highlighting and stuff soon. Then, of course, the inking. I'll do comic style, where I'll do some actual black ink, you know, to show some real contrast with the highlights. So, yeah. This is the end of the core set, which I'm really happy about because I got this about a year ago. Wow. That's actually in my timeline lately. That's actually good timing. Like, there was a time when I was like 6 months out of my queue. A year is like skipping stuff. Like, I'm rushing it if I do something in a year since I buy it. I hate to say that, but it's true. So that is about it with that. So a little bit of gaming, but mostly, mostly just still doing some hobby time painting. Let's go back to the Logitech here.
Yeah, we just watched the Captain Marvel movie again. Let's see, Tuesday night.
Nice.
And did you just watched it again?
Yeah, because it came back to Redbox, so we watched it. It's like, hey, we got a free movie night that we can, it's like they send you a code for a free movie, and you're like, hey. So we watched Captain Marvel. And last night we watched Black Panther again.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, I gotta get off my main screen here. There we go. I'd like to watch Captain Marvel again. I saw it in the theater, and I thought it was okay. Wasn't my favorite Marvel movie, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It had some good humor in it. It was more or less building everything type of deal.
BMV says, well, actually, Chris said, I have no clan mechs yet. I use the word yet. What is and then BMB says 400, referring to your mechs. He's like, they could date the lizard men. And I think he's referring referring to my frogmen, lizard men for battle systems that I got. He's neglecting to tell you that he has like 1,000 lizard men in his storage lockers.
Oh.
He has 1,000 of everything that he shows on his channel.
That would be a lot of lizard men.
And Scott says, how is the Buchanan's? I have just tasted it again. It's been a while since I tasted it. I have to say, it's okay. This was a gift. And, you know, it's blended and bottled, blended whiskey. It's a bit sharp in its taste. It has a little bit of...
Has it got some peppery notes to it, or...
You know, it's a bit peaty, as like scotches generally are, you know, but it has a bit of a harsh taste. It's not my favorite, you know, that I have, but I have so much of it, and I knew that I was coming to this show, so what are you gonna do? I need to have a use for it. That wasn't a great endorsement, but once in a while, you can't always give good endorsements. Sometimes they're not good.
This is starting to open up. Starting to get a lot of vanillas and cream smells.
Strawberry cream kind of thing going on?
Cream of wheat.
So, does anybody have anything they want to chat about before we get on to the main topics tonight? I think we've been keeping up with the comments so far. We got a healthy audience there, which we always kind of enjoy on this show. One of the best things about the show, actually, is our audience, I think.
We have an audience?
Live audience is what I mean.
Very live audience.
I tried something new last month. I did my first Kickstarter. So
did you kickstart the Blood and Plunger?
Yeah, the black, Raise the Black. So
I did not, which is kind of
excited about that. So
I wanted to back it, but I just I have a hard time trying to back something that's like, at the time, it's like I put a moratorium on myself for not buying miniatures. And I didn't want to spend the money. It's like, yeah, I'd have to break out a credit card. Dan's in the house. And I just the wife's telling me after our duratio and all of our damage and everything, it's like, I put a kind of a moratorium because we didn't have the fair this year. So I was like, I don't have any extra cash. So I was like, I really want to. And I was like, kept looking at it and I was watching it count down. I'm like, oh, do I make my saving throw or not?
That was kind of like for me for Adeptus Titanicus when it came out.
Yeah.
Because I was all into the Epic. I just got my Epic stuff. And then Adeptus Titanicus came out. And I was like, I got to do this. And then I looked at it and I looked at everything else I want to do. And I was like, you know what? I got a lot of French Indian War stuff to buy. I'm just going to hunker down into the things that I do. Just kind of continue to do the stuff that I'm doing. And I always remember that as my one of those moments. We all have them, right? Where you just don't get the thing that you want to get.
Yeah.
But it's also cool once in a while to just splurge, right? And that's kind of what it sounds like you did. Like you just said, you know what, I'm going to... And so is this one for the Blood and Plunder, the one where they're focusing on pirates? Is that a theme or is it something else? I'm trying to remember.
This is bringing new pirates in. They have plastic ships and with it plastic miniatures and everything. They're changing over to plastic. And I really wanted to, but it's like I already have a bunch of pirates, so it's not like I would be losing out if I didn't back it. other than getting some more ships and a new book.
From what I saw, it seemed like when the other one first came out, it was mainly around your main factions,
Yeah.
you know, and then this one was more about the pirates, is what it felt like when I was looking at
generic
it.
style pirates with some named pirates that were tossed in.
Yeah, that's why I jumped in. Was Raise a Black had I didn't buy the starter box. I just bought the book, and I also went for the pirate character box.
Yeah.
And so that has like all the famous pirates that they haven't even included in the game yet. So
Cool.
they got Teach. You've got the women pirates. What are they? Anne Bonny, I think.
Yeah.
So actual historical figures.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have Calico Jack and half a dozen other ones that are pretty famous too.
So if you watch the show Black Sails,
Oh, okay.
the characters in the Black Sail show are coming out now with this expansion.
BMB says that he doesn't have those moments. He just gets it when it comes to thinking about whether you want to get it or not.
Yeah.
And he later says, get it first, and then they have the fight about getting it later. And then Chris says, I was going to back it, but just too close to holidays. The timeline, and the timeline's going forward in history. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
I've not. I know it's actually done pretty well, like as far as in the gaming community. People have embraced that game. You know, it doesn't surprise me that they're continuing with it.
Now I have a whole bunch of the miniatures. I think I have about every faction that there was or came out. Because I was getting the expansion, I would get the Kickstarter, and my son was getting the Kickstarters too at the same time. So he would get, it's like, what are you getting? I'm getting this. You're getting that? Okay, so between the two of us, every time they had a Kickstarter, we doubled up. So
Cool. Awesome. Well, this actually, and some of this discussion is going to bleed into our second discussion for the night. So before we get too far into it, why don't we go to our first topic, which is not this. And I'm going to let, it's like totally different than what we're talking about here. And why don't we I was going to let you, Bill, like just sort of introduce it the way you envisioned it, because you kind of brought it up on the last show when you were a guest on when you were in the comments as in the audience last week.
Yeah. We're talking about food and gaming. What you have while the game is being played, and also what you have like before and after the game. Prep food, what you guys do at home, food as opposed to what you see in a game shop too, and what's permissible. Sometimes there's a unwritten clause that you can't bring outside food into a game shop, so that's a good thing too. That's why I love gaming at my house. And behind me is this huge 8x6 wargaming table, and beyond that is my mini fridge and my wet bar, and then the door behind my head is where my back porch is, where it has my barbecue smoker and my my barbecue grill. So I make sure that everyone's well fed when they come.
And then there's also the controversial part of like etiquette, with like handling miniatures and like people, the way they feel about you eating while gaming too. There's that component too, right? As to different groups and whether what's acceptable, what's not, different types of games and stuff like that. So it's interesting. It could be a bit of a broad topic if you want to make it a broad topic in some ways. So.
And you got a point. There's certain foods you don't want near the table when you're actually gaming, and then there's other foods that are acceptable. Just like you said, I find the best during game snack is pretzels, and the reason why I say that is that unlike potato chips, they don't have grease on them.
Yeah.
So if you have like cards in your game, like Test of Honor, or if you have, you're not going to get that grease on your miniatures and stuff like that. So.
Just dip into the mustard, because I'm big on mustard on pretzels. Dip and then eat.
We're partially eat and then dip.
No double dipping. That's another thing we can go over.
There's a whole Seinfeld episode about that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, Rusty, what do you think? Do you want to go first on that one?
Well, there's many forms of, it's like every time, so whoever hosts, like if you're going to be the host, we had the game at my house this last Saturday. So the host is the one that provides the food. Individuals can bring food if they want to. Typically they bring chips or, drink or whatever they want to bring. But it's a lot of times it's frozen pizza and hot dogs. So chili cheese hot dog.
Oh boy.
I like chili cheese. But there's certain foods that, we've had some incidences over the years where individuals, like if someone is a very noisy eater that eat with their mouth open, typically it's like no chips.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see you eat and I don't want to hear you eat. So
right. Yeah.
I've been times where some individuals be like to be over at the game shop and you're playing, somebody's up there on, and you're like, time out.
Rice crackers.
You no longer amuse me. I've turned to him and say, if you're gonna eat like that, just go over there. Tell them to go away. But there's been incidences, and then there's the other one was if you have drinks are not allowed on the table. Because I've had bad experiences with people. They'll have the big gulp type drink and be sitting there, and they'll go reach over to move a miniature, and there goes half gallon of Coke all over the table, and you're like,
wow. So nobody's called in an airstrike as you were hovering with your chili dog, moving your snow.
BattleTech.
There we go.
Yummy. But I imagine like Bill there, he has his smoker grill little setup, and he always putting stuff out on Facebook. It's like, hey, look what I'm cooking up today. That looks good.
Yeah, I like the last time I was showing you guys pictures of one of my last visit, games here with the jalapeno poppers. They're bacon wrapped jalapenos with cream cheese.
Cream cheese. You put. I gotta ask. Do you put brown sugar around your bacon when you wrap them?
No. Well, one thing I do is I cook up some breakfast sausage and mix that with cream cheese for the filling.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a little pizzazz there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But make sure your sausage is cool before you mix it with your cream cheese, or else it kind of gets bleh, so.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Cook. Who would ever thought that the Musty Wargamers would have a cooking show too?
We're entering new territory all the time. Like Bill saw this and he took it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big feature of my gaming. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned the frozen pizza. I've done that too. I coat the bottom of the pizza with olive oil and then put that on the grill. You got to watch it real quick though, because it cooks super fast.
We have for our grill, we have the big round stones.
Oh, nice.
So you have this big, you put the stone out there and it heats up, and then you slide that on and slide it off, and it doesn't burn the bottom.
Oh wow!
So
a pizza stone, like a pizza stone.
Yes.
Yeah. No, those are good. Yeah.
Wow. That's fancy.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to like my comments on this. in almost any way. Like I'm like total 180 different.
We're gonna throw cold water on our
yeah. Well, you might as well. You guys are gonna be throwing boiling water at me, oil. Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually kind of agree with you guys in the sense that I actually think food in general among friends is when you're, particularly when somebody's doing like gaming at the house, and like it's kind of an event, because let's say we're not, when I was like 15, like we always went over our friends' houses, and it wasn't special. It was like we would just always over each other's houses, and it wasn't like we didn't host anything. It's just wherever we ended up, right? But now as adults, like when you go over, it's like kind of a nice thing. Like we don't always get to do it, and so when you do that, somebody actually puts out a spread or something. It's really appreciated by everybody. So I actually agree with you in that sense, Bill. I have a friend that actually typically when he does have people over for gaming, he always offers food, and like his wife oftentimes will bring down something. And in that case, because he has a beautiful setup, and we don't really want to ruin anything, is there is a bar that's close by in the basement, and there's a ledge, and you can just, they'll set up a table, and we'll just kind of pick stuff and make a plate, and then just put stuff on the side, but we don't go near the table. Like we stay away from all the gaming stuff. So that would be similar, kind of like what you guys are talking about. For me, like you said something about like, what do you do before a game? Like, what do you do during? Like, what do you do after as far as eating? I'm like Mr. Starvation in that I will eat like in the morning breakfast, and I will throw in either an apple, preferably an apple or a granola bar, like to go to the gaming club. Even the gaming club will typically, which I'm not going to right now, but they'll typically have junk food. So it's typically like potato chips and like all that kind of stuff. It's not, and so I'll just bring like a granola bar because it's just easily eaten, kind of, it's not an issue, or an apple, and that's about it. And I'm usually starving by the time I get home, but in some ways, like my mind, I'm not really thinking about eating a whole lot, like when I'm there and I'm gaming. So I just sort of do something to keep going while I'm there, and then I just go home and eat. And so that's about it. But when at friends' houses, they'll often do that. And when I have friends over my place, usually I'll do the same. Like a lot of times I'll offer lunch afterwards. Like if it's a day where we're playing a game in the morning, well, I'll actually have like soup or something like that we'll have like after the game, just something to eat. But just when we're totally done. My friends have been pretty good when it comes to not trying to eat over my table or do anything like that. Like they'll usually be more careful than me as far as drinks and things like that. Like they won't bring them into the dining room area where I have a big table that we play. Like they'll keep it in the kitchen, which is just right off of it. And if they want something else to drink, they'll go back in. So I haven't had too many problems. One funny story I have is when I was first getting back into gaming, I was playing HeroClix for a while. And I went down to the club, and this one guy, he just was complaining to me about this other player always coming in and eating McDonald's food. And he wouldn't just say that he ate McDonald's. He's like, this guy's coming in, he's eating McDonald's food, and his hands are all greasy, and he's touching all the stuff. And it's making me really angry because everything is getting this McDonald's grease all over everything, from his fingers. And kind of like what Rusty was saying with potato chips. And I thought that was actually kind of funny. But when you guys are talking about all that stuff, I mean, some of you may know that I don't make a big deal of it on my channel, but I kind of went plant-based like maybe 2 years ago in my diet. And so I actually, I love pizza, I love burgers, I love all that stuff, but I kind of changed my diet pretty radically like 2 years ago, and I'm still doing it. And so yeah, like I can't really relate too much anymore. I have other stuff.
So
you wouldn't be interested in.
So 3 weeks ago, when I cooked up a pork roast and made pulled pork sandwiches for our game day, you'd be feeling left out.
Oh boy.
And I went over, friends, where that's happened. Where I'm just the only one. I just sort of eat whatever, and I'm just fine. So.
Typically, though, when I go to like the game shop, I'll have a plastic jar of mixed nuts.
Yeah.
I'll bring a container of decaf tea, unsweetened. That's my drink, and then nuts. That's all I bring with me. So it's I don't eat sandwiches or any other food, so I'll just open that up, grab some nuts, close it again. So, and there's a lot of places that they don't allow you to eat any food at all inside their store.
Yeah, a lot of them they sell their own food there. and
Yeah.
so feel anxious about bringing something from the outside in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But every store is different though, so sometimes if I want to demonstrate a game and I want people around my table, I'll buy about 2 dozen donuts.
Sticky donuts.
yeah, some what was it? The cream, fresh cream,
Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme. That's right. I get the Krispy Kreme donuts, and with people would gather around my table with food. So
Gee, I wonder why.
I've never been a fan of Krispy Kreme donuts. It's like
I like them. I like them. They're really good. They actually started in North Carolina, and I actually remember when they were here in Canada for a little bit. They didn't really make it here because Tim Hortons is really hard to compete with up here, just because there's such a loyal following. But I love Krispy Kreme donuts. They're really hard to. A donut in general, whether you like Dunkin' or Tim Hortons, Krispy Kreme, that sort of sugary fried dough, fatty dough, like that is so hard to resist. I mean, like you get people that be like, yeah, that looks good. Can I take one of these? See ya.
I've never been. It's like their Krispy Kreme is most of them are these big, the fluffy ones where you could take a big donut and just if you squished it down, it becomes nothing.
I know what you're talking about. The crullers, is that what it's called? The cruller.
Yeah, it's like I've never been a fan of those. It's like I'm a cake donut type.
But there's
guy.
so many other ones. Krispy Kreme has a wonderful chocolate cake donut, like really good. And here's the vegan. If a vegan's telling you, you know it is. And then they have what I like are those cream donuts, the chocolate and the vanilla, like they come up and they have like the flour on the top and it's like filled with like icing. Like if you just want pure, just take the top of the cake off of icing and shove it into a donut and just eat that.
Not my thing. It's gotta be jelly filled.
Well, I like that too. And they have that too. That's good. The old, that's a good standby. So.
Yeah. I have a friend who's vegan too.
Yeah. Quote unquote.
Yeah, because his girlfriend is vegan.
Okay.
Right? And so we went over to his house. We played Eldritch Horror, and they gave us some creative snacks to game with. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I invited him over to my house to do some Star Wars Armada gaming. Mm-hmm. And before he came over, I was like, all right, I know you got some dietary needs. And he's like, if I'm not with her,
it's totally fine.
I would like to have some beef.
He's a kind of a faux vegan, right?
That's funny. Nice Pantry says smoked boar. I'm not sure if he's talking about his favorite donut or if, I think he's referring to a good thing to have at a gaming.
Pork or smoked boar.
Yeah.
Smoked boar, huh? Yeah. We don't have
the whole boar. You put it on the spit and you slowly rotisserie it while you're playing your game.
BNB says plant-based. How about a nice bruschetta? I think that's Tony Soprano reaching into the fridge for his delicatessen meats there talking to me. You guys remember Tony Soprano?
All right.
Yeah. Well, and that piece about the game store, it's fair that, they'd want to, like encourage people to buy like soda and like chips and things, but not everybody wants to eat that. I mean, I didn't want to eat that stuff before I got a stricter diet. Like now I still would rather, even back then, I'd rather have a granola bar at least than like a big bag of chips, like personally, like if that's going to be lunch, I mean, it's not that I don't like chips. I can eat those too. I'm allowed to eat potato chips, but it's just, I'd rather have an apple or a granola bar than a bag of chips for lunch personally. I mean, I like a bag of chips like after dinner, like or something, but
yeah.
I've never been really a chip guy. It's the closest I get to chips that I'll eat. If they're sour cream, maybe I'll eat those. You know, they
So
have
no
to be-
sandwiches and no chips.
To me, a sandwich is just a peanut butter sandwich.
See, I'm starting to not feel like the weird one here. I'm just kidding. I don't drink water, but I'll drink milk.
I guess I'm the weird one because I
You don't
love
like chips either.
nachos and pile on the beans and the meats and the onions and all sorts of accoutrements on the super nachos, buried in cheese.
Well, that's normal, I think. I mean, I think people like that stuff. I mean, for sure.
Everything you put on the nachos is what is good. The nacho is just the device to get it to your mouth.
The transport. So wargaming. I think this food while wargaming topic has turned into mainly food.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
No. I don't mean that as an insult. I'm kind of laughing. It's kind of true because people like. I mean, food's a fun thing to talk about, actually.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with me because part of my background is I was in the SCA, which is kind of a
Society of Creative Anachronism.
Got in the habit of just like when people are stumble into your camp, you want to feed them. And
well, you're kicking the crap out of each other all day long, right? Isn't that what they do there?
Yeah.
It's like,
stumble into your camp, you want to booze them up and feed them. So
you need calories to be kicked around, like and thrown to the ground, and
basically you booze them up, roll them around, steal everything they have, and then toss them out the back door. Good Viking style.
Do you still do that, Bill?
Oh no, I stopped about 3 or 4 years ago. So
Okay.
Hence I'm getting a little chubby now. I'm not running around in armor in the summer of Arizona.
Nothing to do with the nachos. It's just it's not that I like to put everything on nachos. That
Typically, though, it's like if you're eating nachos and everything, you got to wash them down with something, and it's like it ends up being beer and more beer.
Perfect. Yeah.
Liquid bread.
Yeah, there's when it comes to gaming at the table, though, there's a limited choice of what's best for eating and drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I've got sippy cups here for that are all Star Wars related. One's a sippy cup of Darth Vader, and they're in the shape of the R2-D2 and stuff like that. And so, if
is that for the big kids or the little kids?
That's for the gamers.
Okay, I need that clarified.
So you're saying that the beer goes through those easily?
No, I don't do the beer on those. I just do the drinks. I have if people want to have the alcohol, I'll go ahead and break it open. The beer, I do right. I have the Pilsner glasses, and I have a separate table for them. Away, just like your setup, Palmer, with your friend. I have a separate table for the food.
Yeah.
So that way there's no travesties. But yeah, that's the best way to do it, though, is the separate table. And also, when it comes to drinks on the table, my hills are all I carved out of wood instead of your styrofoam. So they're all literally like they're literally coasters. So all the hills on my table are coasters.
You don't have flock on them or anything?
No, they're literally made of wood. I carved them out of wood, all the hills.
Okay.
And they're just painted.
They're painted.
I put sand on them and painted them up and
okay.
put on them, but they're solid wood.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
so you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, I go to the hardware store and then I pick up like the coal lumber, and then carve that into the hills.
So what you're saying is if it really gets out of hand in the game, you have handy weapons too.
True. Yeah.
I'm always looking for the angles here. So
Now,
yeah.
Rusty,
Yeah.
I know, Rusty, you're not big on caffeine. Like, you talked about like the decaf earlier. I don't know about you, Bill, but we're talking about food and drinks here. And the one thing I didn't mention is that probably the thing that stood out the most to me while I was drinking a lot of coffee, or strong coffee, I should say, that might have been the biggest limiting factor of my needs while gaming at the store, because they didn't have a coffee machine or anything, like no way to get coffee there. So I started bringing a thermos with me, because if I would go on a Saturday and I go out kind of early, by kind of the afternoon, I'm looking for another cup of coffee at a certain point, because otherwise, I'd start to feel a little tired, because I used to drink more than I do now. I used to drink, I used to drink like 3 cups of strong coffee a day, I'd say. And, that may or may not sound like a little or a lot to people, depending on what they drink, but I'd have 2 cups before I go to work and then 1 like when I get home. But if it's on a Saturday and let's say I have 1 cup and I go out the door, I'm usually kind of wanting another one by like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that. And then I start to get a little kind of tired, and I haven't had lunch because like I said, I just have the granola bar or the apple, and I'm looking to go home anyway. So between getting ready for lunch and my blood sugar being a little low, just like anybody's would be if you're just kind of before lunch, and then wanting that cup of coffee, I could, you can get a little irritable or just feeling a little like you're ready for it. And so I don't know about you guys when it comes to that. But I know, Rusty, you said you don't really drink caffeine at all.
I don't do caffeine at all. It's like I have a hard enough time sleeping as it is. Put caffeine in me, I'm up for 24/7. It's like I can have a little bit of caffeine and I'm up for like 2 days. That's how much it affects me. So I avoid it with a passion.
Oh, I've got a Krug machine in the gaming room.
That's how you get through it.
It's probably like my wife. She could drink like a full big Mountain Dew or something and then fall asleep. And I'm like, what are you doing on the ceiling? I had a little bit of caffeine. Yeah.
Well, when I'm at home, I'll always have a pot on, like, for when people are coming over, like, because that's my preferred choice of drink during the day if we're gaming. But my wife drinks really strong coffee, and I've started to dial it back. Like when I'm making coffee, I'm reducing it, like compared to what she does, because it's almost like I find Starbucks coffee to be really strong, like incredibly strong, and I find that we were kind of making it almost to that level, and I'm like really dialing it back just because just your caffeine serum levels, you're just peak so much, like during the day, and like you're on this like roller coaster otherwise. I'm trying to level it out a bit.
That's one thing I've noticed, is that when it comes to caffeine, I used to drink coffee back in the 90s and it'd be like that. He's like, get in the morning, oh god, I feel so horrible, and have to have a cup, and then okay, I'm awake now, and then you get to that point and you have to have some more to get you going. Now it's like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I'm awake, let's go, and I'm that way all day. There is no ups and downs anymore. It was like once you kick yourself of it, you feel a lot better.
And you still only need like 4 hours of sleep.
Yes.
Which it's like, if you guys don't know Rusty, that's actually kind of the case.
Oh wow!
You wonder how he gets all this painting done.
I don't sleep very much.
I don't know. I love coffee, but the best coffee I ever had in my life was in the Middle East, and nothing is
sludge.
Yes, but it was fantastic.
Yeah,
and nothing is coming close to it.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never had it. I'd love to try that, something like that.
Their stuff is strong. It's like you put the spoon in and it stands up.
Yeah, it makes espressos look pretty weak.
Like nothing.
Yeah. It's just dirty water.
That might not be the direction I'm going. I tend to flop back and forth because I like tea too, and I'll actually like drink coffee, and then I'll be like, I gotta cut it back, and then I'll go to tea. then I'll start drinking it again because I love the taste of coffee, really do. But I'm starting to take my brew and I'm starting to make it a little bit milder than I used to. So also starting to drink earlier in the day. Like you move from like the coffee and you just start drinking the alcohol earlier and you don't have to have that last cup of coffee in the day.
I've always been a tea drinker. I love tea. I love flavored tea. Many different flavors and styles. It's like Scott in Night Pantry. We used to sit around and drink tea all the time.
Mm-hmm. I have a Nepal tea, loose tea that I got, really strong black tea. It's almost approaching coffee, like in the caffeine flavor, but I love it. Like, it's just one of those things. It's like if you like strong coffee, then if you like tea, you probably like strong tea too. If you like that, just like to really taste, have that really powerful taste. And I do like that too, although I'm not really dialing it back that much if I go to that. I usually will go to like an oolong, something a little milder, if I want something to not be drinking something as crazy potent. Looks like we got a comment here. B&B says, I don't drink coffee. Being a brewster in the old days, I saw how many people got addicted to it and how much they spent on it. Better spent on models. Yeah. I could see that. It's true. One thing I will say is I learned real quick not to get anything fancy from Starbucks. Like when I actually get stuff from Starbucks, I get a tall pike. Like that's a tall pike now with soy milk. That's my coffee, and which is like $2, right? And I might do that a couple of times a week. But some folks, I mean, you're absolutely right, B&B. I mean, like some folks will spend $5 at Starbucks, like roughly on a daily basis. And when you add that up, it's not insignificant. I mean, $35 a week becomes close to like a phone bill for people, like, like a month. Cause that's, I don't even know, but that's like $130 or something. Like, like you're actually getting up there, right? If you do that regularly, if you're like, I got to go down and get my mocha cappuccino, whatever, like, it gets really expensive.
I know. It's like when I was doing the books, because, for accounting for my brother's business, and my sister-in-law would spend probably $20 a day just on coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Going to Starbucks.
Wow.
And I was like, why are you spending so much? It's like, here comes the accountant guy. I was like, why are you spending so much money on coffee a day? He's like, I don't spend that much. Au contraire, let me show you the books. He was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I spent that much. Now multiply that by 30 days in a month times how many 365 days a year. It's like, you're spending a lot of money just on juice. So
speaking of juice, what was that?
It doesn't even have alcohol in it.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
Think of how much alcohol you could buy with that. Scott says coffee is lifter's juice. I can tell you that in like many years ago when I used to lift free weights, it is really helpful to actually get some caffeine before exercise. Yeah, absolutely. And B&B says sometimes people used to give an essay for their coffee order.
Oh yeah. If you ever watched that show Frasier?
Yeah, sure. Back in the day,
where they always go every episode. They're in the coffee shop, right? And one of the episodes, they were saying, well, his accountant comes up to him and goes, you know how much you spend a year on coffee at this? And like, oh, probably nothing, hardly. And say, you spend over like $5,000 a year on coffee at this coffee. You're like, what?
2 vacations.
Like,
whatever.
How many miniatures that is?
Yeah. B&B says people used to come and get 4 coffees a day. That is true. I mean, it's crazy what you can spend, and that's actually on a lot of stuff these days, though. The coffee, it's one of those things that people never would have thought 20 years ago that people would stand in a line to spend $5 on a coffee. Like if you told that to people 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they would have laughed at you. And then now it's a total reality.
$3 on a water for that.
Yeah, that's true.
A bottle of water. Like,
absolutely. So
I'm going to spend that kind of money. I'm going to save it up for alcohol.
So what other any other components to this talk we haven't covered?
Irish coffee.
Any other pieces to the food part?
Other than staying away from greasy chips and handling miniatures and keeping the liquids off the table, I think most of us already planned out. It's like you always have some place off the side where you keep your food and drink. It's like when we play here, I always have a table off to the side so people on one side of the table have some place to put their stuff. And then I got on the other side, you can see where my desk light right there.
Mm-hmm.
I just have, it's like, you put your food and stuff on my desk. So,
well, we've had the discussion in the past about etiquette, like in general with gaming. And I think when we're talking about like Bill's place where he has like the spread and like, the fridge and like, the cooker outside and all this stuff, and you invite your friends over, that's kind of different because social norms are established, But when you're like in the gaming store, looks like we lost him. His topic's done. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm sure he'll join in again. But when we have the actual gaming club and you don't know the person and they're like, oh yeah, like I'll have a game with you, that's where it gets a little tricky too, because they could start eating something with their hands and like licking their fingers and then start touching the miniatures. And that's when it does become it could become an issue, right? I mean,
in this day and age, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, because there are some folks that we all know that no matter what you're doing, whatever hobby, like when you're dealing with people you don't know, like there's some folks that just have no clue. I mean, like they just do stuff that you ask yourself and anybody like, what were they thinking? Like, does this person really think like grabbing my stuff after you just, had buttered popcorn all over your hands, like, that you could touch my miniatures, like that I really need to tell you that you couldn't, like, and so yeah, but so I think that's a component of this too, is just when you have everything established and you're among friends and you're in your own place, that's kind of cool. But if you're out in a gaming shop, it's a little bit different. So Bill should know how to get back in there, but maybe we'll wait just a second before we get into the next.
We've got one comment down here for Mr. BMB Builder. One coffee, equals one Vallejo paint.
How many miniatures does one Vallejo paint equal?
Well, Vallejo paint's $3.50 a bottle in my store.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a Reaper miniature,
mm-hmm.
or 1/6 of a Games Workshop small blister box or something
mm-hmm.
like that.
So like one coffee equals one Vallejo paint equals one Reaper miniature. It's kind of like a rose is a rose is a rose.
Yeah.
To get classical.
Yeah. No, but you get individuals that will spend a lot of money on stuff they don't, to them it's no big deal. They seem to have money to burn, but I always look at it from the angle. It's like, okay, I can spend this money on this, or I can buy a miniature.
Mm-hmm.
$5 Australian. Yeah.
It's funny that you say it that way, like B&B, because I almost have to stop thinking about what I spend in my life, or like what my family spends, like what we do in the form of miniatures. Because if I actually think about like what we spend on stuff in miniatures, it'll drive me insane. Oh. Because like if I actually have to have a plumber come out to do something, or just do different things, like and I start thinking about like the price of things in miniatures, it would drive me nuts. Let's see here.
It was like yesterday we were out and about. We had Veterans Day yesterday, and so my friends and I were all veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were out and we went to the train shop. He's back.
There he is.
And we're live. And I've moved up into the corner now. It's like I rotated. And so it's like we're at the shop and I'm looking at it, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm at the train shop. So this is where I get a lot of my hobby supplies. So I was like, oh, I need this and this. And I was like going through the leftover, and I go, what's that? And I was like, ooh, it's a pen thing, you know. It's like normally where you can have those small drill bit and the little thing you can drill in. It was one that could able to use bigger drill bits.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm all over that. So I bought it. It's like, that's $15 well spent, I have to say.
Well, so we transitioned a little bit in the topic, partly my fault because I usually like to keep on topic. But Bill, we were saying BNB says one coffee equals one Vallejo paint, and then I joked around like how many miniatures is a Vallejo paint, and like because it's true though when you think about spending and things that way. I used to struggle to not want to buy miniatures with my hobby money, as opposed to, let's say, gaming or painting accessories like lighting or an airbrush or a mat to game on the table with, like those kind of stuff. Because there's so much stuff in the hobby you can buy that's not miniatures. And the more I've been gaming, because like we have tremendous lead piles and because we're so like fickle as gamers as to all the games we jump around to, I've almost gotten to the impression that the stuff I buy to maintain my hobby, like things to paint and like for my hobby space, are almost more valuable to me because I see them as staying there regardless of what game or what miniatures I'm painting this week. Like that kind of stuff I need to enjoy the experience and to help my hobby experience. And even for gaming, like battle mats and stuff like that, I mean, I get ones that I can use for multiple types of games. And so it's funny, I used to be like all about like just spending money on the miniatures, and now in some ways I've changed a bit in that respect.
Yeah, it's like before, it was like trying to get into the games, spending the money on the miniatures. Then you realize, maybe I should put some money towards terrain and all that to make the table look nice.
Yeah.
And you come to find out that some of this terrain that you buy is actually can be used in different systems.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good way to justify something is when you say I can use it for like 5 things, like I'm getting like a generic kind of thing. I can use this for all these different kind of games, as opposed to, I mean, nothing wrong with getting like an ice flow or something like an Arctic map, and that's fine. Like if you have like plans for it and that's what you want to buy, but sometimes there's certain maps that are just not nearly as transferable,
Which kind of reminds me, we had
what's that?
The Necron map.
Yeah.
All green.
That's a good one. Yeah.
We had a guys from Easy 8 Enterprise that did the Battleground game.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
They had a scenario they put it out at every convention they hosted. They had the Yeti game. So one of the games where they pull out the frozen tundra, and so it was like it could be Europe, Germans, Americans be fighting in it, and all of a sudden there's a Yeti someplace on the table. It would slowly grab the squad and eat it, So
it's like a Musket Tomahawks with the bear.
Yeah. So you would be fighting the game between, it's like Bill and I would be fighting our two sides against each other, and you would be the Yeti, just wandering around chomping on people.
Oh boy.
It was fun.
It reminds me of Darkest Africa games that I used to play 20 years ago. But there'd be random events charts. Like a gorilla would jump out and grab someone and run off with them or something. Yeah.
New mate.
So now that Bill's back, why don't we head into our second topic of the evening, if you guys are okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
So I'll throw this one out to you guys. So this is different than we oftentimes will say, like, what are your core games or what's your favorite game? And like that kind of stuff is very common. We touched on that on this channel, on the show. But and we've also talked quite a bit about jumping around so many game systems, like topics like that. This is sort of like a bit of a combination of the two, in that it's not so much, it can be your favorite game that we talk about tonight, but it's more like what is currently on your mind in the last week to month for what you like either want to purchase you know, are thinking about purchasing, or what you have, like what you have that you're really consumed with, like in your thoughts. Because all of us, like I know both Bill and Rusty, you guys, and including myself, have plenty of games in your arsenal. Like if you go back all the years and everything you've collected, and even stuff you collected in just in the last 2 to 3 years, you probably have a lot of stuff. But there tends to be stuff that creeps to the front of your mind, you know, and like in what occupies your mind. Now, maybe the stuff that you're spending on right now, it may be something that you bought last year, but you've not been able to stop thinking about it because it's like keeps coming back. Like I never did that, and I actually really want to. Like I want to actually put the thing I just got aside so I can go back to that project. Or it could be a favorite game that, hey, like you just mentioned the Necro map. Idic Beer, people may know on the channel. He always strikes me as the kind of guy. He's always my example of somebody that is stuck with Warhammer 40K, and pretty much ever since I known him, that's been the main game on his channel, his main interest, and he's never really veered considerably from it. Like and so if I ask him what's on his mind, he's going to say Necrons and Warhammer 40K. I can guarantee it. And so that's fine too. That's a fine answer. And, you know, but I throw that out to you guys. Like, what's the because what is the candy in the candy shop that you're looking at right now? Like, is it stuff that you haven't bought that you really are thinking about that you want to purchase? And there's no wrong answer here. Like, don't feel bad or shamed by like wanting to spend money on another game. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. That's the answer. But that's kind of what I'm wondering, like what you guys are thinking about. And so who wants to take it first? Don't jump in at once.
Okay. Okay, I'll jump in. I'll start this up.
And it can be more than one. It doesn't have to be one. It can be several. Like, I'm just curious.
To me, I'm kind of like if it's shiny, I sometimes get attracted to it. But my latest want to buy is the Test of Honor Senjoku expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I've been like Jones and get my hands on that thing. As you guys know that I play the samurai stuff, so
yeah,
that's the Senjoku period is the War and Clans period, which is right in the middle of ideal wargaming period, and I'm just chomping at the bit to get my hands on that book.
So it's an area that you already like. I've seen you for the Oldhammer Challenge. You did Samurai. I think you've done Bushido, right? And also Test of Honor. And so like this is an area that you already like, but it's like basically an expansion that you're really interested in.
Oh yeah, and I've played Ronin as well, and that's
what I meant actually. By Bushido, my brain said Bushido, but it's Ronin. That's what I meant.
Oh, Bushido is its own game. I tried that out.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I like that or not, but it's a samurai stuff is always kind of like bubbling up because I think that's kind of fun to do samurai wargaming. I also have been, thinking about Pirates recently because of that Kickstarter, but also because I got a 3D printer over the summer and printed up about 8 pirate ships.
So you have
you can paint those up.
Have your use for them.
Not to mention you're gonna get another 2.
Oh no, I'm not gonna get that because I can print up as many as I want. So I didn't go for that part of the Kickstarter. Just the book in the miniatures pirates. I didn't go for the ships because if I can print them up myself, then there you go. And honestly, I think the quality of the printable scenery is higher quality than what you get from the main game system.
Do you have a resin printer, or do you have
It's a filament style.
Yeah, that's what I have too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the printable scenery pirates ships are amazing.
They're really good.
The detail is phenomenal.
So now, did you play the first Blood and Plunder? Like, did you have that too?
Yeah, I went and got the PDF on that, but I didn't
Mhm.
get the solid book. So
Did you play it much?
No.
Okay. Okay. So it's new for you.
I only started printing up the ships this year.
So it's relatively new.
Yeah, it's new
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
Before this, I was into French and Indian War, and I was into all sorts of other things. So
Cool. Any others that are top of mind right now, for any reason, with gaming or anything?
Well, I have been collecting American Revolution miniatures, and I intend on doing the Saratoga campaign.
What scale?
So still collecting miniatures for that.
What scale miniatures?
28 millimeter scale.
Okay. Yeah. So what are your rules that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking black powder, actually. Yeah.
That'll be a lot of painting.
Oh, yeah. I've got right about 15 Puri boxes already.
15 boxes?
So which year are you dedicating to this, at least? Like, have you thought, like, do you have an actual plan for that, or is this sort of like a long-term project?
I'm waiting for this COVID thing to be done.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I don't get very much time to myself because we're cooped up together, and I need to be focused and not interrupted when I do my painting. So I'm getting backlogged on my painting projects.
So I got a question for you, Bill. Before we go to Rusty, I want to fully kind of explore this concept a bit. What I'm kind of hearing from you is that you, like many people, I mean, like what has you excited is about a new project, like a new game, like a new project to get into. And in some cases, it's a Kickstarter of something, like in your area that you like Samurais. In another, it's something totally new that's you're gonna allow you to use your 3D printer, like it's the other stuff. And in the other case, it's I don't know if you've done American Revolutionary War before. I know it is a bit, in my mind, it's sort of like if you've done French Indian War, it's like another way to explore a close time period that has some other facets to it, but it's sort of like, it's not totally different like than French Indian War, like it's not completely different, but they're all kind of new things for you. But do you ever, as somebody that plays as much stuff and has played as much stuff as you have, do you ever go backwards and like just kind of obsess over a game that you used to enjoy that you just haven't played in a while? Like, does that ever happen to you, or is it mostly fair enough? Mostly just new stuff that you want to get into, like a new project?
Well, I have to say, what has piqued my interest recently is BattleTech.
I just finished a sip. You guys are gonna put me out here.
I haven't set up. I've got the get all. I want to print up the miniatures for that. I don't have any miniatures right now, and I have PDFs of all the books. So I've been eyeballing that and going, boy, do I want to jump into this? I loved playing it 30 years ago, and 3025, and then did right when the clans started their invasion, and then I got into the army, and then I stopped gaming miniatures for a while. So you probably remember those years, Rusty.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
quite well. They haven't stopped.
Yeah. So I'm just like Infinity, where I just recently jumped back into it. I'm sure the meta and the lore has changed. I posted up a battle report last weekend, and I got one of the local people said that one of the factions is no longer the Asian faction is completely changed in the lore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea. I listed that guy's faction as Eugen, but apparently they weren't. They were something else. So
Well, they also have the sub factions, right? Like where they split off and have like sub factions within the faction and stuff too. That makes it a little more interesting too. I actually didn't even know that because I've been just dipping back into the before N4 came out. I was dipping back into N3, just playing some basic games with my daughter, but I wasn't really reading the lore. So to me, wouldn't have made a difference whether the lore changed or not. You know, it was just more playing the rules. But yeah, so. But that's interesting. That's a good point. So like you used to play the BattleTech years ago, and like now you've been seeing stuff and kind of getting interested in it again, and like kind of thinking maybe getting back into it.
Yeah, if I can print up the models in my 3D printer, I have not tried smaller models yet, so I don't know how that's gonna work.
Well, if you ever want to chat BattleTech, you've came to the right place.
I'd like to scale it up to a larger scale, like the clicky scale, just so they are nicer models for the folded printer.
Yeah.
And I've got a table that can accommodate it. It's 6x8, so it should be big enough for.
Honestly, I'm of the opinion, in the limited amount that I've played, that if you double the scale of BattleTech, if you double the size of the miniature, just keep everything exactly the same. It'll still be fine. Like, Rusty, would you agree?
Yeah, just keep the scales the same. You can scale things up in size of the miniature, but
just keep the distances the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would think so. Because really, like you're still shooting over large distances. I mean, in many cases.
Yeah.
You know.
We've done it in the past where we had large scale tables, and it's like, all right, double the movement and double the range, and then we said, okay, double movement, single range, keep it the same as the book, and that seemed to work out fairly decent too. So
you could go either way.
Yeah.
I also got a whole bunch of 3D model. Well, I haven't printed them up yet, but Star Trek stuff, Klingons and Federation. So I was thinking about dipping my toe back into
Starfleet Battles.
Starfleet Battles, which is an RPG.
That's intriguing to me too. Like I kind of looked into that at one point. I mean, I'm probably more of a Star Wars guy, just more like from my as a kid, like growing up. But as a game, when looking at the old school Starfleet Battles, there's an appealing aspect of it.
Very appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expensive to get the old stuff. Like unless you print it out, like it's expensive.
Yeah, I have the old stuff from years ago.
Oh, okay.
I could literally do all the cardboard chits and stuff, but it sparked my interest again because of the ability of printing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, hey, I'll print up the Enterprise, and I have a Starfield already from my X-Wing games. Go for it there, I think that'd be a hoot. But yeah, it's then I look at the size of the rules and I go, what am I going to get?
Well, it's like the Starfleet Battles rules. You can go as big as you want. It's kind of like BattleTech. You can throw as many rules as you want at. You could have the very basic rules and then expand it from there. You don't have to go full on crazy if you don't want to.
Well, and that's a whole nother topic, but like how many major classic rule sets do you have room for in your brain to actually can play on a regular basis? Like BattleTech is one of them. It's like you could go as deep into the rabbit hole as you want on that game. Like, the level of detail. I mean, if you want, you can make your mech, and this is my prime example. You can make your mech pick up a tree and use it as a club. If you want the rules to do that, it's in the game. Like, but like how many people typically do that? I don't know, like in a game, but like from what I remember, like there's so many levels of advancements in the rules, like that you can get into specialized stuff. Same thing with Starfleet Battles. There's all these games that are major in-depth classic games that are intense on the rules if you want them to be. Do you mix up those rules with like sort of simpler skirmish games to play with your friends, or do you actually take on all those big ones? Like, it's a whole nother topic.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, that's what's that's another another thing that's on the table. But the thing is, with those older rules, they were played decades ago, but because I played them hundreds of times in the past, I'm sure that if I sit down and work work myself through it all, it'll hopefully
Comes right back. It's
Yeah.
it's hidden back there in the memory banks. Just have to figure out how to access the information.
Well, and some of the stuff, I mean, it has a core element of what you use on a turn-by-turn basis. Like there's the core element, of how heat works in BattleTech, and basically like what your modifiers are for your distances for range, and just various things like, did you move that turn? Like, all this, like, I'm just trying to remember back to it because it's been a while since I played a game, but I remember there was like your series of modifiers that you use regularly, like, every turn. But then there's like another layer of rules that you can choose to add in or that you would use on a less regular basis that gets more in depth. That's where it gets, I think, even more meaty in my opinion. But with any of these older rule sets, same thing with like Rogue Trader, right? Like if you want to pull out Rogue Trader, like the original 40K game, like it's not nearly as the same experience as the recent rules, right? I mean, as far as the level of granularity, I mean, like it's a game master, not even like a you have a game master, like like Dungeons and Dragons, because it was so involved. Like you were supposed to have an independent person running the game. These are definitely another level.
Yeah, I really liked BattleTech in the game in the day because it's got the back then it was innovative to have a initiative system where it would be random for you to be able to go first or not. Pretty much 90% of games back when that was around was I go you go type games. They're almost all like that, with the exception of Starfleet Battles, which is by impulse activation, which was innovative in itself too, but it's clunky for games these days.
So what about you, Rusty? So just because we did kind of discuss a lot of stuff there in Bill's response, this is not necessarily your favorite game, although it could be your favorite game, your answer. But what is currently in this fall of year 2020 of COVID and everything that's going on right now, what has been consuming your mind? I know that you're playing. I watch your channel, and like I know you, so I know you're playing lots of stuff. Like you just put up a Flames of War report. You're doing tons of Gaslands games. You've played Battle Group, and not too long ago, you've played BattleTech. In the not too distant future past, you played Epic. 40K. Like you're playing lots of different stuff. What is consuming your mind lately is what you want when you're thinking about what you want to do for gaming. And models and stuff.
Well, say BattleTech's always consuming my brain, and right now it's just accentuated because of the Kickstarter, and you're being part of these Facebook groups when everybody's like, "Hey, look what my Kickstarter I got! Yay!" And then last week, 2 weeks ago, we had Dwayne on, and he had his Kickstarter stuff. He got his, and I'm still waiting on mine. I haven't gotten mine yet because I made the mistake of thinking that, okay, there's wave 1, wave 2. I'll just get them all in wave 2. Not realizing that almost everything comes in wave 1. They didn't make that clear enough, but.
And you don't have enough mix. Like
no, I don't. No, it's like I feel deprived with my only 400 something mix I got. So. So that's kind of what's on my head right now, brain. But there's other systems out there that's really. I got grocery list.
Oh gosh, good.
So it's like you gave me homework, and I started thinking.
But I will preface this though. Just because you thought about it doesn't mean that it needs to be mentioned. It's more like what are the ones that are consuming your mind, like like that you really find that you're like excited about and like you're wanting to pull the switch on, and or even like pulling out of the closet. Like it doesn't have to be like a purchase.
Right now I have the rules for Saga,
Mhm.
and that is one of the ones I've been really itching to start playing that, because I picked the rules up and gone through them a little bit, but to get somebody to want to play it, that's the hard part. And it's
Mhm.
like it's something you look at like, man, this looks cool. I really like the idea of this. This game looks good. I want to try it. I want to play it. It's like it's one of those things you're looking at. It's like, I think I got enough miniatures there. I can throw a game of it together. So
Mhm.
that's what I've been really thinking about a lot of. And the other one that the Dan and I, just like we've been talking about getting another game of American War and Independence in.
Mhm.
So that's always on my mind. I need to go through and start reading the rules again, because probably within a month we're going to have a game. So that's something. And I've been wanting to assemble some more miniatures because I have all my Continentals. I want to start working on that side of it. So that's another one. It's like that is something that's I can actually work on and have possibly have something happen with it.
Mhm.
So that might be the direction I'm going, because right now it's like I just got done a whole bunch of BattleTech, so that's on my head.
Mhm.
I know I got a game this weekend, so that will happen, but I'm always looking ahead at what other systems, and it's like we've been talking about getting a third or fourth edition. I think it's fourth edition or fifth edition of Warhammer Fantasy
Mhm.
with Dan also. So that's a possibility. So there's some of the things I've been thinking about a lot of.
So it's interesting because you have, you mentioned BattleTech, and part of that is kind of like your community with your YouTube channel, your friends, and like the new Kickstarter coming out. There's just so much opportunity to think about BattleTech, and it's one of your core games that it just is front of mind, which is totally good answer. I mean, like it doesn't, like I said, it can be your favorite game, but like Saga, I was a little surprised to hear that, and I think that's like an example where it's a game that you purchased, you've kind of been wanting to do it. You don't really have the community necessarily to play it, but you own it. Like you purchased it and you've been reading it. You kind of it's just one of those ones where you keep coming back to it, like in your head, like this is one that I've been wanting to do. And then of course you have the game that you're playing with Dan, like you're using your American War of Independence stuff. So that's kind of like in some ways similar to BattleTech, because like it's a nice collection that you've got going there and you're playing and using it. So anything new out there that you don't have right now that you're eyeing that's consuming your mind?
Just last week it came to my attention that Mantic Games is coming out with this game called Armada.
One of my friends is constantly telling me about it. Yeah.
And it's like it came onto my radar, and I'm looking at that, and I've seen a video and they're talking about it. I'm like, that sounds very much like Uncharted Seas from Spartan Games. It was like very similar, but I've been looking at that and I was like, oh, they have the option of just buying the rule book. I might just buy the rule book and see what that's all about. Because I have plenty of fantasy miniatures for fleets for Uncharted Seas, and most of the fleets are almost identical. The races are all identical in Uncharted Seas, so I could see, like crossover. I got miniatures, have the rules, try it out, and see what happens. So that's one I've been eyeballing a lot, and it's like, okay, I've been thinking about that one. And the other one that's kind of similar is Oak and Iron, the guys from Firelock.
Oh yeah.
I've really been, it's like, because you have, was it Oak and Iron is from the Firelock games, and then the other one that comes out from Warlord Games, their version of
Black
Sail, isn't it?
Black Sails, yeah. I looked at both of them, and that Oak and Iron intrigues me more because of the fact that it's got the game before the game. It has like a trying to obtain the weather gauge prior to the engagement, which to me is a little more realistic for the Age of Sail type game. I don't think they have that in the Black Fleece, do they?
I don't think so.
Oh.
So that's something I was looking at. I was like, when the Kickstarter came out, 2 years ago, I think it was, when they had that Kickstarter, and then they released everything. I was like, man, I really wanted to do the Kickstarter, but I wasn't sure I wanted to, that was something wasn't sure if it would be something my group would get into, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on something that people didn't want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm not going to pull the trigger on it. But I do watch the videos on it, some bat reps and stuff that they put out, and it's like, man, it looks like fun. So, and it's a nice scale, so it's small, and I like small scale games like that where you can buy a bunch of stuff, throw it together, and then it doesn't take up a lot of space when you're storing it either.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of scratches my nautical itch that I have, because I like sailing games.
It's a different time period too. Yeah. I think it's 1720s or something around those time frames. And then the other one's more 1805 or something like that.
Yeah, it's Napoleonics. So you got so you're basically fighting Napoleonic Wars in sail, or you could play the Age of Pirates, that type of thing. So, what era you want.
While we're talking about this here, I would encourage folks in the comments, because I know we have a number of wargamers and some folks that are more into the modeling and stuff. But for those of you that are, it also can be based on the miniatures and the painting. It doesn't always have to be on the gaming, like as to what has you excited and what you want to do. Even some folks that do commissions and stuff too, like they're interested in doing like just being able to paint something up different or whatever. But what are you guys in the comments same question to everybody here, like what are you thinking about like right now at this moment, top of mind for your gaming or your hobbying that is consuming your thoughts on your projects, and whether it be to do a game or not. So you have a lot more on your list there, Rusty. Did you have others you wanted to share? Or
well, some of these are actually like board games.
Okay.
Because I'm a board gamer too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about it, but the Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you put this stuff up, and it's like, oh man, it's like I see you paint the miniatures and stuff, and I was like, I'm a Marvel guy, and I could see myself easily playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched some reports and stuff on it. It's like, yeah, it looks cool, and I can just get into painting all these. And it's like, I don't know, have they released the Wolverine yet?
It's just like I think if you're in Europe or if you're one of their play testers, like their models coming up and people are painting them now. So it's just right around the corner. It's coming out in December, I think. Okay. Is my understanding. So X-Men are basically here now. Like that's what they're releasing is X-Men. Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be one system that I would think about getting into, is because that's kind of a board game / miniature game in a way. It's kind of like BattleTech in a way too. Mm-hmm. Is that you can play it as a board game, you can play it as a miniature game, either way.
Yeah, I love Marvel stuff.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, I haven't
jumped on board on the
Marvel movie in hours. So
sorry.
My wife and I play the different Marvel card games out there. Like the legendary deck building game and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thought about those. I bet you my kids would love it. Probably. I've looked into them. Not enough, but I've actually considered it. Yeah, I'm not really a card game player, or I'm barely a board game player. I'm just I've played some board games. I'm mostly miniature, but I do wonder about trying some of that stuff out.
It can be kind of interesting. It's a different take on gaming because it's a set piece a lot of times, and for a lot of board games, you have a set it's like a lot of the games I've been playing lately. It's like it's there, and you have your starting confines, and then you just go from there, and you sort of change. But, another one board game I've been looking at. I almost got into the last Kickstarter. I imagine they'll have another Kickstarter within a year, if not have picked it up before then. Is the new War and Peace board game that came out.
Okay.
It's like $100.
Wow.
100 something. I think it's $120 to buy the box by itself, and the Kickstarter is like 90.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a chunk of change, and I was like, I wanted to, I really wanted to buy it, the newest version of it, but like I said, it's like major expenses right now. I'm just kind of keeping everything on the down low right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one that's like maybe next year. They seem to do one every year lately. So, and then there's that Gloomhaven.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, huh?
He's like, where's his copy?
Yeah.
There it is.
I remember seeing your video on that, Bill. Now that's a big endeavor, right? To get into that.
Yeah, I've been really thinking that they got Gloomhaven, Frosthaven.
Frosthaven, yeah.
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 So I've been really thinking about getting into those two.
Yeah.
Cool. So lots of stuff.
Lots
of new stuff, lots of stuff that you play historically.
And this one might intrigue Dan. There's this one.
I was waiting for that to come out.
Yeah. I have the rules, and
I've
been wanting to get some miniatures and paint them up, and then maybe Dan and I can get a game.
Yeah. I was waiting for that to come out. So I got that one too.
Yeah.
Well,
Dan made some comments all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'll do my little take here, and then we'll go to the comments. I'm hoping other people are going to type in too. I guess mine shouldn't be too surprising because we've kind of talked a bit about them tonight, but I have some new stuff to say. The two top tier ones that consumed in my mind about are Sharp's Practice, and it is because I feel like I haven't done as much with my French Indian War collection in the last year and a half as far as gaming as I would like to. Like I was waiting for Musket Tomahawks to come out. I never really kind of got back into playing the Sharp's Practice and learning the rules because like I mentioned in my video, like my friend kind of hosted the game and showed me how to play a couple of times and then moved, and I just essentially haven't played it since then. I played more first edition Musket Tomahawks, and so now having sunk into the rules a bit, and it's really a great game for my kind of collection. Like if I am going to have lots of skirmish units, and I already do, but like with my Minden and all those miniatures, but I have lots of regimental type units, and I find that Sharp's Practice is a great game to highlight the rules and using them, and then in addition adding skirmish. So where Musket and Tomahawks is more just about firing lines, two deep firing lines, not really switching formations and doing lots of the bigger battle kind of stuff. And so I'm really quite excited. I've got lots of French Indian War miniatures to paint because I'm kind of in the mindset of painting them again soon. And just having played the game, I'm using that first game that solo game I did to try to delve into the rules, to just jump both feet in and just do a lot of gaming for it. And so that's really on my mind, and nothing new to buy, right? As far as like new rule system or anything, it's something that I've had and I have played before, but I'm trying to immerse myself in it more. And so that's on my mind quite a bit. But then in addition to that, I would say the biggest for like skirmish and like fantasy / sci-fi is what we've been talking about earlier, is the Infinity. N4 just came out, the new rule set. I've been waiting for it to come out, like probably since last March, April, like when news started coming out that a new edition came out. I was getting into Infinity again, probably last February, March, and starting to paint up both the factions. And I played some games with my daughter during COVID, and she really enjoys the game. The thing I really like about it is, one, I absolutely love the models. I love painting the models. Looks like Bill doesn't agree with me. I think we lost him. And looks like we got the robe in the house. Hello there. Yeah. And so, you know, I really, a big part of it, as we talked about, like for me, a big part of the hobby is the painting piece. But for Infinity, I absolutely love the models. And so sometimes I think about buying them just to have them for that reason. Like I recently, when I picked up the rules and they're in the mail, I actually picked up a scenario pack that has like miniatures in it that I won't really need unless I'm doing like a specific scenario, but I'm really looking forward to just painting them up. Like there's a civilian and then there's a miniature from an opposing force that I've never painted before, but I just want to paint up like a different color scheme for Infinity with like the models that I like to paint. And so that has me really excited because I enjoy the painting of them. And then, you know, this is not meant to be a plug for Infinity, but I just, it's a skirmish game that I just really enjoy playing. Like I just love the rule system. And so I've been constantly, I started playing in N2, and then I never bought the rules. I just used their free rules. And then I came back a little bit in N3 recently, you know, to just try it out a bit more. But I've been wanting now to delve in completely now that the new rule system is coming in. And I just like every aspect of the game. I love the rules. I love the miniatures. I love painting them. And so it's like just totally top of mind. Now, in contrast to that, like you mentioned the Marvel game, it's funny, like the Marvel game, I'm really enjoying a new way to paint, like, you know, with the cartoon sort of effect, which I've never done before. But I had to go on a little trip recently, and I had, without my family, like, you know, just to meet somebody up at my recreational place. And I was alone, and I brought, I think I told you about it, and I brought like Sharp's Practice, and I brought the Marvel game with me, the rules, just to read while I was up there. And I only read the Sharp's Practice because I just had that game, and I just felt like, oh, like let's just kind of substantiate it. But when I looked at the Marvel rules, it was totally foreign to me, like compared to, it's been so long since I checked out the rules for the first time that I just couldn't really even get past the first page because I was just kind of like not up for reading it at that moment. I think once I give it a chance, and actually I've painted it now, that I'm actually going to probably really enjoy it. Like I have a lot for it, and I think it'll be a really good rule set. The thing that I really like about it is that the community for it has really stayed strong, and they're all really into the rules. Like if you actually look at the Facebook community, it's a totally different experience than the Night Models game for Marvel. Like it's like very different as far as the level of enthusiasm and the support for the game by the company. And so looks like Bill's joining back in here. There he is. We're talking Marvel again because I talked about Infinity, you know, as being my other big one, and I'm just mentioning Marvel. Marvel's not been, even though I'm painting the miniatures and I have it, I need to give it more of a chance, and I need to actually like learn how to play it. And because of that, because I haven't really like delved deep enough into it, I'm just enjoying the painting, but I'm not like, it's not been exciting for me in the same way that the other two have. I think pretty soon I'm going to actually give it a fair shot, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how much I like it. When I was thinking about this topic up until today, it was just, I kind of think about these topics before the show a little bit. I knew what we were going to be talking about. I was only thinking about my French Indian War and the Infinity. But I started thinking about Saga too, Rusty, and you mentioned Saga just now. So it kind of, you know, I was thinking about that. I like the Age of Magic, and I know that's what you're focusing on, and you have the miniatures for it, and it's a lot of fun. But one of the things for me that I really liked about Saga is I like the Age of Vikings, and most of my time playing Saga first edition and even second edition was to play Age of Vikings, painting up my Scots and all of that stuff. And I really would like to actually paint up more Dark Ages stuff again. Like I kind of go through cycles, and I think because I enjoy Saga so much, and it's been a while since I've played, that I really want to delve back into some of the historical setting, like, you know, like the Age of Vikings. And I still have a lot of 3D, you know, kind of tagging on to what Bill said, I have a lot of 3D printed Viking stuff I still haven't painted up for Age of Vikings.
Long ships?
Sorry?
Long ships?
Well, no, just more like long houses. long houses and like the various Viking houses, and there's even some Celtic stuff that that I could potentially be doing. I just glanced. We have a lot of comments to get caught up in, but Jackmaster Rob jumped in. He's asking about the nachos. Where are they? I don't even know if he was here for the earlier discussion. That was like he's like psychic or something. But you know, all I would really say, like, so Saga is something that's almost like a one tier below the other two of something I'm really kind of excited to get back into and to get some games in. The other two are being the main ones, Infinity and the French Indian War stuff with Sharp's Practice. But you actually, Rusty, also brought something else up. You kind of went beyond miniature games. And I hate to do this. I hate to but I'm just going to take the headphones off 1 second. I got something right behind me. I was in the tabletop, not tabletop commanders. I was in the Curtis's show.
It's like a GMT game.
Yeah, it is. I was actually in Curtis's show not long. Well, actually, like maybe 5 months ago or something, 4 months, something like that. And Paul Beckus and Curtis and some other folks were on the show that day, and may even have been Dwayne was on from Plastic Rat Games, and we were talking about board games, and they were encouraging me, you know, to check out a board game, you know, like because I'm not a board gamer. And I had told him how I kind of, oh, there he is. Look at it. There he is. I mean, the man of the hour just pops right in. And so I took their recommendation. Like there were other French Indian war games too that we were all talking about, but they kind of recommended GMT. And I just said, well, I'm just going to go with something that, you know, folks that have done these and know what they're talking about recommended. And so I picked this up. And so this is something that I want to do some solo gaming with, just like you did, Rusty, like, you know, with your American War Independence stuff. I want to try it out because I've never done a game like this, a hex tile game. And so I picked this up. And so this is something that's been on my mind lately. Like I picked it up and I'm thinking, you know, I want to set it up on the table.
Hasn't even been opened yet.
It's not. I know, that's sad, isn't it? This is just how distracted I am. I should have. I hear about everybody talking about how the boards are good quality, like in GMT games, like the boards are a nice stock, and so I have been thinking I should open it up and just see them. So, so that's like for those of you that may have joined late, like we were talking about like and we've asked people to put them in the comments too. So you guys, if you want to put them in there, put them in. But the second topic has been it's not just what's your favorite thing, but like what's occupying your mind right now. Like you know, you may have your favorites that last with you for years. What's the thing that you just like either want to buy because and it's been occupying your mind, or what is the thing that you have and it's been in your closet and you've not played and it's been occupying your mind? You're thinking like, I should be doing that. And so we've all kind of did a bit of a round table and talked about some of them happen to be our favorites that are occupying our mind because they are our favorites. They're the ones that we just like so much that we don't stop thinking about them. In other cases, it may be something that is a Kickstarter that came out that you're just really excited about, you've been waiting for. And so we've all kind of talked about different stuff. Initially, I didn't think about board games and pulling that out initially until Rusty started talking about it. I think Dan actually started with some comments at the top. He had said, looking forward to a game of AWI with Rusty. I'm still really enthused about my Bretonians, but I have been having the urge to play bolt action again, and currently I'm building some bolt action terrain. So that's cool. I know that you were playing bolt action a lot with Smitty quite a while ago, and I knew that you played bolt action, and so you're kind of going back to something that you enjoyed before, it seems like, and picking that up again and utilizing that collection, which is cool. Dan says, I'm trying not to buy anything now and just work on stuff I already have. I stay pretty focused on my core games. And, you know, that's good. It's good to know what you like and reinvigorate your excitement for the stuff that you already have and love. Says, I have the rules for burrows and badgers, just need a handful of minis and I would be good to go. And that's just piggybacking on the rest of talking about the burrows and badgers game. I didn't include that because it's one that I've resisted so far. I have the rule book. That will be a game that I add to the list of stuff to do eventually.
And I was looking at that, it was something that it wouldn't take much to play it. You know, you just need a handful of miniatures because it's a skirmish system. You don't have to break the bank playing something simple.
Yeah. That's the nice thing. It's kind of similar like to Infinity 2. Like you can actually play with just like 5 or 6 miniatures, just get a starter force and try out a small thing. It's good when you have games like that you can do that. Looks like we got some chatting going on here. Jankmaster talking about nachos. He was hoping that we would be hosting with some food given the topic tonight.
Virtual food.
Curtis jumped in when he heard that there was board games on the channel.
Board game? Board game? I heard board game.
Right. And then so did Todd. We probably could have a show just on board games someday. I don't think we've ever done that. We've talked about like differences between miniatures and board games and like gave our opinions on that, but never just like a dedicated show on board games.
Yeah.
And then Jankmaster says Necromunda. And so Necromunda, I know is on his mind. Now I know Rob actually has played Necromunda back in the day when it first came out. And my understanding is it's also got like the later stuff from GW as well.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Lord Seaver's in the house. We were chatting about Savage Core. That's another one that's very cool, and that's on his mind because he's just getting into Savage Core. He was checking out some of the vids on that.
40K.
And then Curtis is like, 40K's on my mind, 9th edition. And I know Curtis was really getting into Kill Team 40K quite a bit. And I remember him unboxing that on a video. And now he's talking about 9th edition.
That's
sweet. Just curious what which faction you're thinking about, Curtis, for 40K. And actually, which faction for Savage Core for Lord Seaver. I think it's Sean. And then we've got Dwayne from Plastic Crack Gaming. And we already know what game's on his mind. Because we're talking about games that are not necessarily only your favorite, but ones that are just on your mind right now. And he just did this big series of BattleTech unboxing.
Yeah,
vids.
That was very jealous.
Oh, there we go. I've only got drops left in this glass, and I'm at my 2-drink maximum.
You know, Curtis mentioned Warhammer 40K. Wargames Atlantic, they make Imperial Guard that are called Gronards that are supposed to be like the old guard from Napoleonics. And I saw on their Facebook page that they're doing like Panards and Somois versions of Lehman Russes.
Oh, sweet.
So, Curtis, if you're still into Napoleonics, that might be something to look into. You know?
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. He says, he looks like he answered it. He says, Sisters of Battle, Black Templars, and Death Guard. I was kind of thinking I'd like to pick up some of the old models also for the Sisters of Battle. I like those. There's some really cool models in that faction.
It would be 4th edition metal ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're nice. So it looks like, Curtis, you're doing quite a bit of different stuff. Some Chaos stuff, some Black Templars, Marines, and Sisters of Battle.
If I was going to do that, I'd probably break out my Mechanicum.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had said that you were thinking about doing that, Rusty, right? Like you have friends that are doing 9th edition?
Yeah. That's what those neck runs I painted a while back are supposed to be. Was supposed to be doing a slow grow to get started into 9th edition.
Mm-hmm. Looks like
another Star Colonel. Oh man.
Also, Palmer, you showed that board game of the Wilderness Fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
one of the things that I not that game, but there's another French and Indian war game, board game that I wanted to get years ago, but didn't pull the trigger on. Called Few Acres of Snow.
Oh, I haven't. There was another one that we were looking at, and I'd also saw that came out in the last few years, and it showed like some of the gaming pieces had like what looked like little houses of different colors or something on it, and it looked very good. But for whatever reason, I just wanted to start out with a GMT one just to try it out because of everybody talking about it. But if I like that one, maybe I'll pick up a different one too. But I'll have to look into that one that you're talking about. What was about it that you liked?
It's a deck building game, but it also has the map. It's not a hex based game though, so
it'd be just something different to try.
It's not just tactical. You have to work your logistics as well as the tactical stuff. So that intrigued me, and also it had pretty good ratings on Board Game Geek.
Oh, okay.
So that was, never pulled the trigger on it, but I was told it's a pretty good game.
It's from Tree Frog Games. A Few Acres of Snow. Tree Frog Games came out in 2011.
So is it mostly a card game? Like, is it primarily a card game?
But it's got a board game to it, and you move around the square wooden pieces to indicate where your units are on the map.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, from I'm looking at it right now on Board Game Geek, and it looks kind of interesting.
You want to share your screen?
Let me see if I can do this. All right, let's see. Share screen. And did that pop up?
Not yet. You do have. There we go.
So it kind of looked like it had the elements of an old game that I used to play years ago called Samurai Swords, or where you see there is you can fortify a town.
Yeah, you got the little star fort.
You know, it reminds me a little. I wonder what the front of the box looks like, because it reminds me a little bit of what I was talking about with the way those colored houses looked. I don't know if they have a picture of the cover or not. But
just a second here, get back to it.
They don't know. I guess they don't always necessarily show the front.
Come on. There we go.
Okay.
There it is.
Now, so I don't recognize that. That does look different than the one I was looking into. That's a cool looking cover, actually.
Yeah.
Not that not that I'm judging it by the cover, but it looks pretty cool.
On the snowshoes.
Yeah. And so, that actually looks kind of cool. Maybe that'd be another one to consider. I realize it'd be totally different maybe than the one I'm going to be trying here, but yeah, maybe after this one I'll consider another one.
Yeah, that would be something that you'll find yourself falling down the rabbit hole once you get into board games like that. They can start getting addictive.
Yeah.
Because then you say, oh, I like the aspects of this board game. Then you start, oh, I wonder what this one does. And the next thing you know, you're looking at another one.
Rob says the sisters are older than 4th edition.
Yeah, they are. It's just I don't remember seeing Sisters of Battle until like 4th edition. I think they came out as a White Dwarf Codex, I think, the first time.
Yeah.
Curtis says, Flying Colors is a board game on my mind. Getting ready to play the heck out of it now.
Yeah, that's the ship game.
Yeah. And then you guys also mentioned Saga. My input on that is that's been on my back burner. I still have the 1st edition Saga. I haven't jumped to 2nd edition. But I think that if they ever release the Samurai version of Samurai Saga, it'll get into my forefront.
Well, they will. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're just releasing Age of Hannibal right now. They're going one by one. So they did Age of Vikings. You know, they did Age of Magic. Now they've released Age of Hannibal. They actually have
a Crusade one too, don't they?
Crusades, yeah.
They did Age of Crusades right after. You're right. I missed that. Right after Age of Vikings. But like in the main manual, like they show the pictures of the samurai, like they're absolutely going to do it. And so that will be your ticket in if you want it. I honestly really love the game. Like, I realize it's not the same as a lot of our more tactical based games that don't use battle boards and stuff, that are just a bit different, like more heavy on the simulation, piece. There's like it's its own kind of feel, Saga, but I always enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. And so, but one thing I would say, Bill, is I like second edition even better than first, and I enjoyed first edition. I think second edition is better, and I don't always say that. Like, I'm usually of the type that's like, oh, it's, the first one was better, But in this case, I actually like the second edition better, and it's laid out better, streamlined, much better, like than the first. It's much more intuitive to teach it to somebody, for sure.
Huh. Yeah.
You have the second?
Report.
You have the second edition?
No.
Okay. Not yet. So. Not
yet. I got miniatures, unpainted Vikings, and I got obviously a whole bunch of Indians, so I can do the Skrulings.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then I can do late Romans. I was disappointed with Saga because they stopped moving east to from Rome.
Yeah.
From the Byzantines, which is late Rome. And they didn't get into the Sassanid Persians, which I have an army for.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, it's Dark Age.
Yeah. Well, I actually think probably for you, since you're so into like the Japanese stuff, like that's going to be probably a good opportunity for you.
Yeah.
If you like the Saga type game, I mean, like you said that a little bit of, you played the first edition, or you didn't?
Yeah, I did play the first edition.
If you like the first edition, it's a cleaner experience, the game in the second, but it's still like the basic way you play is the same, like the same idea. And if you like the first edition and you like Saga, then I think it would be good to jump into. Some people just don't like it. Like, some folks are just not into it. So, yeah, actually, it's funny. Like, I normally go in order with the comments. I'm kind of the same, Dwayne, as far as like making things like dumbed down. Like, if streamline means dumbed down, then I'm with you. But sometimes it's not. I mean, like I didn't really like Age of Sigmar, for that reason. Like, I just felt like it didn't seem like, it was too streamlined. Like, they made it too much about being able to get into it easy and just taken away from substance and stuff in many cases. But in this case, sometimes you can take a game that works well, but it actually has some aspects to it that are overly complex when they don't need to be. Like, sometimes complexity just to be complex, if it doesn't add anything to it, doesn't always necessarily have to be there, and that's what I think they did in second edition of Saga, is they made it a better experience. I actually enjoy it more. I enjoy the order of operations and how you go through a melee round, which Dark Ages, like melee, that's a huge part of it, even though there is, range combat. Like, you want your melee to work well, like, in that kind of format. And it actually has a smoother process than like the first one did, but you still have all of the basic principles of the first game.
I don't know. Sometimes streamlining is good in another way. Like for Warhammer 40K, let's say you want to take everything out of the closet and play everything all at once, then you can play that streamlined version of Apocalypse. What is it called? Apocalypse?
Yeah, Apocalypse is the
version of 40K. I mean, I think that there's a place for it. I'd like to see a streamlined version of BattleTech, so you can play an entire company of mechs on each side. That'd be kind of cool.
Is that Alpha Strike?
That's Alpha Strike.
Yeah, they have a version of that.
Yeah, so.
Somebody agreed with you over there. Looks like Curtis says, I collected the very first Sister Battle back in the day and never really filled them out as much as I wanted to. Was doing Dark Angels heavy at the time.
Uh-huh.
And Heretical Fallen. Rob's getting into he's waxing lyrical with the lore. And BattleTech's technically a board game, obviously the most glorious of all.
Yeah,
I can continue to try. There is actually a drop in here. Like there is a little left.
That's the
I'm
only.
not going to do what I did last time. I was like literally like trying to like suck the last drop out of it, like in the last show.
When you were licking the inside of your glass, we knew you reached the bottom.
Yeah, I know. The last show was terrible. It was excellent, but it was like that was when like I was considering a 2 maximum rule on the whiskey. Atten Shea Films, a YouTube channel, has a board game set in King Philip's War.
King Philip's War.
That's before the French and Indian War.
Yeah.
I think that was in the 1740s or something like that, or
I'm
earlier.
not sure. There's so many wars.
But it was pretty much like French and Indians versus English, like a practice war.
Looks like Brad has joined the house. Lord Draconum, hey there, sir.
Okay, 1675 to 1678, King Philip's War.
Yeah. Oh well, I was in the wrong century.
Between indigenous inhabitants of New England and their indigenous allies.
So you said 1775?
1675.
1675. Okay. I wonder, is that close to the time period of Barkskins, the show that just came out, where they?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was prior to the French Indian War too.
Yep, that'd be about the same time.
And Curtis says, "Don't forget about the Queen's Anne's War."
Oh yeah, that's another one.
The pirates, were they the Buccaneers and stuff?
Queen Anne's War. No, that's a good question.
Don't forget about the Black Crusade.
Yeah.
Oh.
1702 to 1713. Series of French and Indian wars fought in the colonies.
Yeah, I'm familiar, and I'm more familiar with Pontiac's Rebellion. Versus, yeah.
Lots of little. Is also known as the War of Spanish Succession. Lots of different names for the same thing. So if you're playing musket and tomahawks, you could probably play a lot of those different battles during for all of that.
In the they sometimes refer to it as just Indian Wars too. Like in Musket and Tomahawks, there's a section where they talked about that, where you could have literally like indigenous factions going against each other. And like the original first edition had a little bit more in that way. They expanded and they sort of retracted and expanded at the same time. Second edition, as I remember it, it's because I've been doing more Sharps practice right now, but it has French Indian War, it has the American War of Independence, and then it also has War of 1812. Those are the 3 areas that the second edition of Musket and Tomahawks focuses on. First edition was a little bit different. They didn't do 1812. They did have American War of Independence, but then they had some other things like the Indian Wars, things like that. So it's kind of interesting. They kind of changed it up a bit. Yeah.
Now, something that's been on my mind since I listened to a podcast about it is a game called Star Breach.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bunch of Hakislam for miniatures for Infinity.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking I could use them as Fremen, and then maybe do some Dune type of games.
Oh,
Is it a Dune based game? Is that what that is?
Star Breach is pretty much its own. It's a generic system.
Mm-hmm.
where you can fit any science fiction genre into. You could play 40K miniatures, you could play whatever. But it's got the rule system uses a combination of different other rules. So it's got the initiative grab bag of bolt action, with the where you pull the dice and then you decide what order you're giving each individual model, and then it's got some other aspects that are kind of neat too. I could go on and on, but it's one of those generic rule systems for science fiction that I looked into it, and it's kind of interesting that the author has posted that his game system on a PDF for free online, because his thing is that he wants to have something fun to play.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Star Breach.
Star Breach?
Yeah.
Star Breach.
So essentially, you can put whatever miniatures you want in science fiction, and then put whatever type of genre you want.
Right.
And they've got, half the rule book has all sorts of different generic factions that could be, that they're hinting at almost every 40K faction there.
Yeah. It's all the miniatures that are out there, right?
Free PDF.
They have they're hinting about like Star Wars factions too, like the laser sword monks or something like that. That's what they call them.
Laser sword monks.
There's a similar game, and I don't remember the name of it. It was either called Rebel Scout or Rogue Scout or something like that. That's based on Rogue Trader. But the author says this is based, like, basically I'm wanting to take Rogue Trader and basically make it a bit more playable, like for today, and keep it, but have the same sort of flavor to it. And it looked really good. There were some bat reps I was sending people, and I was thinking about giving that a go with some of my old Hammer minis for like my old Rogue Trader style miniatures for the same reason. But I'd actually be interested in seeing more of the one that you're talking about if you're feeling that it's pretty good.
Yeah. The podcast I was listening to was called 3 Men in a War Game. Let's see. I'll just post what's here. Can I post a link on the chat or no?
No idea, actually. It'll either allow you to or it won't. I don't know.
Let's see what
I tried putting a link up, so we'll just see if it comes up or not.
Sean says he's talking about Savage Core. I've ordered some Cro-Magnons, Simians, and Neanderthals, considering Amazons, but they're all really good. Yeah, those miniatures are amazing, actually, by Roosted Eye. Those are awesome.
Yeah. And so basically, you can use whatever miniatures you want and then just put them into the system. And honestly, I think the 40K rules, I haven't played the 9th edition, but I did play the 8th, and I think there's.
Uh-oh. He's kind of lost in thought there for a second.
I think we lost him again. He see, the powers that be. We mentioned not liking 40K, and they kicked him out.
He was been booted. Rusty, do you remember the one that I sent you? That was
yeah,
Renegade Scout. Here it is. Renegade Scout is the name of it.
You throw it up on your screen.
Yeah, I'll actually throw up the. I just found the YouTube video I sent you of the bat rep, but it's called The Bleeding Edge of Retro Gaming, and it's in the Wargamers vault. Like, you can buy it, like the PDF there. I'll show it here on the screen for those that might be interested. Let's go here, share screen, click on it. Okay, we go in here. Oop. And you guys see that?
Yeah.
Renegade Scout. 206 pages, jam full of gaming goodness. This is a set of science fiction miniatures ruled aimed at not only recapturing the spirit and feel of old school science fiction gaming, but presenting it in an updated, improved form. When I saw the actual YouTube video of it, it actually looked really good. And of course, they did an amazing job with the bat rep, but it actually looked really, really good. They do have a bit of an expansion that has like light vehicles and things like that on it. But for people that might be interested in it, I have never played it, so I can't fully. Let me see if I can stop sharing now. I can't fully endorse it, but just from seeing the bat rep and reading about it, it looked actually really good.
Did Bill make it back yet?
Not yet. You got sucked into the warp when saying something negative about GW.
Coming out, it's like Jank Master put something up here with Frostgrave. What's that going to be about?
Well, one thing he said earlier, and I wasn't sure what he. No, not that. That actually Star Breach sounds interesting. Plays similar to 5 parsecs from home is what Brad says. Dark Path and Light Path. Actually, before that, Rob had said there's Brutality that seems to be getting some traction also. And so I don't know anything about that. I've never heard of that. Curious if that's like a miniatures game he's talking about, or board game. Skirmish war game. Here, let's see. Brutality, the skirmish war game. Skirmish war game with RPG-like aspects. What it shows here. Cool. So much stuff. Brad says it's a game called Grimdark as well. Can get it on one-page rules. It also has AI. And Rob says creator of Frostgrave is coming out with a sci-fi game in 2021. That'd be interesting. Frostgrave was like huge. Did really well as a skirmish game.
Yeah, we played it for a long time. For individuals in the group got tired and moved on to something different. Seems to be the par for the course in our group.
Mods can actually post links. Curtis says right-click his name in YouTube chat and choose to make him a moderator. Renegade Scout. Okay, so actually, Brad has played Renegade Scout. He says it's done by the same people that do 5 parsecs from home. I've played it; it's very good. Well, that's actually good to know, because I was thinking about getting it just to try out my old Hammer stuff. Oh, got Bill coming in. There he is.
Hey, I'm back.
Well, that's tonight's show. Welcome back, Bill. Good night.
Yeah, I started saying bad things about GW, and then
It's like those that say you may not say anything bad about GW.
I was about to say it was a I go, you go system, and yeah, I just thought it was showing its age.
Yeah, you go, I go is very old style that is archaic, I think.
Yeah. So
until it comes around and everybody's like, classic gaming, you go, I go.
Well, I think that more systems to go do something like bolt action, where you just randomize, how you move, what units move. You can move different units if you want to, or whatever. Just kind of throw it to the wind and see what happens.
Yeah,
I do think whatever keeps you engaged as like somebody that's not in their turn is good. I mean, like even Infinity, you really got to watch your butt in Infinity, because like you basically, when you play, those AROs can take you out. When you think you're trying to do something, you end up dead. You know, and that's one of the great things about it.
Yeah,
and that's what I think that the you go, I go system is like. Too many times you just feel like you're checking out type of deal. We're like, oh, yeah, go ahead, shoot the hell out of me, and we'll move on. It's like, oh, I can do something now. You know, and 40K is like, oh, I have the opportunity. I can throw some saving throws. All right, good, cool. Type deal.
The worst with the I Go with You Go recently that I played was Kings of War.
Yeah.
That is the most heinous I Go You Go. You can literally just walk off and do your turn, and it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah.
Like, where would you? I'm assuming you'd walk off to like maybe get some food.
Yeah.
Based on what we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Huh?
There's no it's all rolling on one side. Yeah. Sorry.
Rusty's like, I forgot to mention this was the other one that was on my mind a lot.
Well, the local guys, we got a group that's starting to play Kings of War.
Yeah.
I have all these miniatures, and I was like, maybe I should get involved in that, just to have something to do on Sundays, type of deal.
Well, based on our earlier discussion, now we've actually created like a good reason to play I Go You Go games, because you can actually just go off and have some food. Right? So you're not going to need me here for a bit, right? Okay.
Like, how long is your turn going to take? Oh, probably 10 minutes. I'm going to run over to McDonald's, get some crazy food.
I'm going to get some McDonald's food to touch my miniatures with.
That game is good for smokers too, you know.
Yeah.
It's not your turn. You just go out and have a smoke, and then come back and no.
Yeah.
Because you can that whole game is like, oh, I'd got this many hits on your unit, and then I'm going to see if your morale works or not, if you're going to run away or not.
Yeah. Because there's nothing that the opposing player does during your turn. It's all one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You do all that. You do all the dice rolling.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where it's like, okay, now you have some morale. I'm going to roll. Oh, now I rolled double once. Now you're lucky, you little bugger. So you get to stay around a little longer. And that's the ultimate. I'd say that's the problem with King's Wars. It's the ultimate in checkout.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, it's like, what are you doing? I'm reading my book. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. So is that on your mind? Kings of War, huh?
Wasn't on my list of things that I've been thinking a lot of. I just have the rules because it's something that it might kill some time while I'm building my armies for Warhammer Fantasy.
But you have so much time to think about it while you're playing it. Just on the turn that you're not in. You don't need to think about it later.
If I was playing, I was probably thinking of BattleTech. So.
There we go. Oh, there's still. It's almost like you can never fully get a glass empty. Yeah. I got a drop.
I got a little bit left in mine.
Yeah. You have. That's a ton compared to what I have.
No, that's a ton. Right there.
Yeah, that's right.
This will make that Irishman that we have in the group really happy.
I think I'm at an advantage because I've got rum and Coke in here.
Yep.
So
and you're filling it more with Coke towards the end. Splashing some Coke in there.
So what you trying to say? What you doing, Willis?
It's like apple juice on the Late Show, you know.
Well, that reminds me. Last Friday, we were sitting out at the fire pit with my next door neighbors, and he said, "Have you ever had wild turkey honey?" I was like, "Never knew that they had a wild turkey honey." So it's like he runs across the street to his house. He comes back with a bottle of wild turkey honey. It's like, okay. It's like, you got a glass? And yeah, I run to my house, grab the glass, and he mixes wild turkey honey with apple juice and ice. I'm like, this doesn't sound like it will work together. And I tried it. Like, that's not bad.
You got to give it a chance.
Yeah, it's like now maybe I have something. I have some Jack Daniel's honey sitting upstairs, and like maybe that will work. Get some apple juice and mix it together. That might be because I only use Jack Daniel honey for cough syrup.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much all it's good for is cough syrup.
Yeah, I have that too. I like beer and Jaeger too.
Beer and Jaeger.
Baron Jaeger.
Baron.
Oh, okay.
So what is that?
Beer and Jaeger. What?
Yeah.
It's a German honey liqueur.
Oh, okay. So it's not actually referring to Jägermeister, which is what I think you probably were thinking of, Rusty.
It tastes like black licorice.
Okay.
It tastes like
like Ouzo.
yeah. So this is Baron Jaeger. I'm not sure if find it.
I'm going to share the screen. Start showing liquor up on the screen.
Hey, that's what we do. If you don't have any more liquor to drink, you share liquor on the screen.
We've got a smooth transition in the Musty Wargamers between gaming and food and beer and
it's the food. We're going back to the first topic.
Painting.
Yeah, Baron Jaeger.
You gonna share the screen here?
Well, do you want me to share, or are you?
Yeah,
sharing?
let's look at it.
Oh, let's see.
What night was it? I sent you the picture. I was drinking the black licorice Ouzo. Was it a week ago?
So in the last 1 or 2 weeks, I would say, definitely.
Baron Jaeger.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
So it tastes like black licorice, yeah?
No, it's honey, total honey.
All honey?
Well, it's liquor, so, but it tastes good.
So I typically do mark these videos of our streams not for children, but I think tonight we definitely
not the children.
This is definitely an adult show tonight. We've got like the prices of alcohol and liquor up on the screen.
Sorry about that.
No. I said to do it. I was like, that's no problem.
Mad Dog, Timberwolf, and a few lights. Bud Lights.
Now,
sweet wines for German sweet wines.
Yeah, I like a good white German wine.
White Zinfandel.
Gewürztraminer.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what I was just thinking of. Yeah. Those are good. Yeah. Actually, a good quality one of those. Those are nice. Yeah. I generally. There we go.
One bottle.
I generally go for drier wines than sweeter wines, but that's one that I do like. Is that German Gerstenweimer? I don't know how to say it, but I've had it. And it's quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a semi-sweet. I don't like dry wines, but I prefer a semi-sweet myself. I don't like the sweet. That's just like cool. That's the same as drinking like a liqueur, like it's cough syrup to me. But
yeah, it is rather sweet. That's for sure.
I like Chianti with fava beans.
I like fava beans.
I like a Chianti. Actually.
We all went to the same place at the same time. We watched too many bad movies. What do you want, Clarice? He was very tasty with fava beans.
Rob's asking any new progress on the gesso. Not right now. I'm actually kind of working on my old hammer stuff. I'm just doing with traditional, with my not traditional, but my normal surface primer from Vallejo. But I am planning on doing some more with the gesso. I actually quite liked it, and I'll be honest. I actually really do like the finish that I got on the models that I've done. I think it's good so far. So I think it's going to be great.
Your Roman bust that you did, is that a 1/10 scale?
Yes, I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny. I was actually looking at, I'm not sure if B&B is still in the house. He may have taken off. I'm not sure, but he's really into models. And I'm looking at some French Indian War 56 millimeter, I think it is, instead of 28.
54.
54, yeah. just to paint up. Like there's a model that's resin, like with like a mohawk, like on a log, like walking down a log, like, you know, with his weapon behind him. Like,
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
yeah. And I was thinking that would be great to paint up. And so I was thinking about that. And so I've been thinking about maybe doing something just to paint up for fun. And yeah, I was gonna, but I'd not heard much about the manufacturer, and that's where I don't want to buy stuff that are recasts of China, like China recasts. I want to actually like.
That's kind of hard. I found that if you go like on eBay and you see those, unless they have the box with it, you're not sure what you're getting.
eBay almost. I was amazed because like a year ago when I was looking at busts on eBay, there was a lot of stuff from China, but there was a lot of stuff that wasn't, you know, and you could see the price difference, how like there was shipping and that the price was more, and you were giving it to the actual company that did the sculpture. But now I actually just last night looked at eBay, and almost every single one of them without exception was from China. It's almost like they pushed all the art, like the regular places out, you know, of it. And so now I'm going to actual individual websites to find stuff. Because there's something about actually like paying somebody that's ripping off the original artists, like the Young Miniatures or whatever, and I don't want to do that. So
that's why I was looking at the Michigan Toy Company.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I think they carry about every manufacturer that does busts and full size figures.
Okay.
From 1/35 scale all the way up to 200 millimeter, which I think is 1/6 scale.
Okay.
And they said it can take up to 2 weeks to get an order in fulfilled, because you pay them, then they'll order it to get to them from the manufacturer. So.
Mm-hmm.
If you watched Broken Dice, I think he's been doing a lot of 54 mil.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize
he's been painting a whole bunch of them up. And I think he wants to do a skirmish game with the 54 mil scale.
Nice. Yeah, Rob says 54 is on his mind, also planning a board first, because not having that will hinder any ability to play. That's true. And Brad says, oh, surfing eBay can be bad.
Yeah.
I'll have to check out that Michigan Toy Company you're talking about, because I've been looking for a good place to maybe pick something up to do a project, like a larger scale project. Not that I need something else to do, but
well, I've been looking at it because I'm looking at something. I want to get Jon Snow from Game of Thrones for my daughter. She was a huge Jon Snow fan, and I want to get the bust and maybe paint it up for Christmas and give it to her for a Christmas present.
That'd be great.
Nice.
So,
well,
that's good, but I think it's like $70, I think, for the bus. So it's have to convince the wife that's a good Christmas present for the daughter.
Yeah, I've got a few big models I printed up, and I need to print. Let me see if I can share screen and do it. Yeah. So this is a Spanish galleon.
Nice.
Okay.
That's from the printable scenery.
Well, that's great.
A lot more detail in there than the galleon that they have for the. Let me see here.
And it's almost cost prohibitive to buy a galleon.
Yeah, but the galleon cost from Firelock is about the same cost as my 3D printers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So printing that up paid for itself. And then I printed up, well, not that, but these ships here are your sloops and your brigs, and then some longboats.
Longboats.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
And I've been building terrain for doing pirates too. So there you have it.
That's great. I'm actually really impressed with that, Bill. That galleon. I mean, the detail, it's hard to see some of it, like the full amount of it, like with the picture, but I could see just with some of the light on the wood, you could see some of the actual detail in there.
The grain.
The grain of the wood is totally designed in there. It's fantastic. I go gaga over. over their website, theprintable-scenery.com.
Mhm.
Boy, they have some fantastic stuff there. That's my go-to site for the the pirate stuff. But I also, one of my favorite sites that I go for for samurai terrain now is the Alien 3D Alien World, and that's got some fantastic Japanese samurai stuff
Oh, cool.
there too. So
Rob wanted to know how your daughter felt about him killing the queen.
She was shocked.
And then Dwayne says, I'm not into recast myself as a collector. I just don't see the point. That and it undermines the original creators. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Alternates I'm fine with, but direct copies are not my cup of tea.
No, we sort of discussed that. It was like way back in the day, you have these miniatures that are no longer in production anymore. You got people that are reproducing miniatures like the old Citadel stuff way back in the day. And I think some of them that are coming out again now, because you have the original sculptors are now releasing a lot of that old Citadel stuff themselves because they have the rights to them, I think.
Right.
So I was doing a little bit of research into trying to find some old style miniatures, and it's like when I was trying to identify those dark elves that I had from my dark elf army.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, who makes these? And it's like a very little. It's like found out who the manufacturer, who's the designer, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the guys that made these and for what line. And it took me a long time to figure it out, but
that was the in the end, who was it, the company that made those?
now I forget. I sent it to you, but I can't remember.
Now we're back at square one.
Yeah, I'd have to dig through, look at way back, and say, all right, go back how many months now and figure out what that was.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're well into our average show length now that we've increased our show length from an hour to hour and a half now to 2 hours and 36 minutes. I think we've probably done a pretty good job at covering the topics tonight. Had a lot of great participation in the audience tonight, and it's been great having Bill on the show. I think that was lots of good conversation tonight, which is great. Nothing definitely to be expected. I think this is probably is this the third time you've been on the show now? Probably. I think you were on by yourself. You were on the end of season last year, and now on third time. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was on with a big group of people.
Yeah. That was nice when we had the end of season. Had like quite a number on at the same time. So, but yeah, it's been a good show. I think we've kind of covered the topics pretty well. I don't know if you guys have some closing thoughts.
Well, let's see. In 2 weeks will be Thanksgiving here, but with COVID and everything, nobody's going anywhere. So it's not like I'm going to be going anywhere, and I don't think my wife will carry any.
Oh, I see. Because like we'll have to just determine whether it's going to actually be, that'll actually be Thanksgiving Day. We'll have to discuss it. Maybe we'll end up postponing it a week or not.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
We'll see. It probably makes sense just because other people are going to be doing stuff potentially. So
and we'll have to. We had where I put my list of topics that people were rattling off the last time. So we may pull them out.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. It's been fun. Thanks, Bill, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Nope, we'll look forward to having you again sometime.
All right.
And well,
kicking
finish the show off with nothing left. All right, there we go. We're good.
All right, take care,
we'll
everybody.
see you in a couple weeks, and hope everybody enjoyed. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
See you, everybody.
See ya.